Who on earth are these Michigan Wolverines? Well, we're going to talk with Chris Castellani, as we do pretty much every single year, about his juggernaut football team, unfortunately. Well, at least we're talking to a nice guy about it. Let's go.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by Jase Medical. Empower yourself when you purchase a Jase case, providing you with a personal supply of 5 antibiotics that treat 50-plus infections. Get yours today at jasemedical.com. That's Jase medical.com. Spartan friends, Spartan family, even you Wolverines out there, I know that some of you might be watching. Hey, welcome to Locked On Spartans. I'm your host, Matt Sheehan, but it's not just going to be me rambling on and on throughout today's episode. No. I have a voice and a face that you guys probably already know. It is Chris Castellani of Barstool Sports. And Chris, I feel like I say this every single year, but we have you on to talk Michigan football because I can't bear talking to a lot of Michigan fans, but you, sweetheart, I'll always talk to you, baby. So, hey, how you doing? We all doing okay over there?
I'm hanging in there, man. Still kicking. I mean, no, this is. I was thinking about this. It's become a yearly tradition now. Ever since it'd be weird. It'd be weird at this point if I didn't do it. So, no, happy to be on. Happy to be talking to you, man. I appreciate it.
Right off the top here, Chris, is this the most lifeless rivalry week that you can remember? And look, let's not see who's to blame here. It might be Michigan State not being that hot of a team this year. So sorry, but. It's a weird rivalry week. I know.
It's more weird than it is lifeless to me because I guess there have been years when I thought both teams were just kind of whatever. Whereas this year the circumstance should be that you have a great undefeated Michigan. Like I feel like what this should have been was like 2018 where Michigan had a really good team. We knew they had a really good team. State was so, but they had a
defense.
They had a good defense, and especially I remember with the rain coming down, there was kind of this could be a dogfight, and ultimately it was a 7-7 game in the third quarter. Like that's the kind of game this should be. Now the variable that nobody saw coming was obviously what happened with Mel Tucker and the Michigan State, that whole fiasco there, that situation. So yeah, I guess it's bizarre because I would say it peaked in 21, but really for the better part of a decade, there was a juice to this rivalry that just simply doesn't exist right now. And I think to a lot of Spartan fans, who've been around for a minute, like the worst nightmare scenario, what they're maybe comparing this to is 2002 when it was right at the end of the Bobby Williams era. In fact, they lost 49-3 in the Big House. I think they fired him at that weekend where there's kind of a feeling like, it's not as if this can't be fixed, but right now there's nothing we can do. And you're going up against a Michigan team that is as confident as I've seen. I mean, we've talked before, and I've doubted Michigan teams in the past, but there really is I feel like they've played with their food a lot in these first 7 games. Like they took the first quarter off against Indiana and still put up a 50 burger. It's like there is, I from the other side, I totally understand kind of the dread that's coming with it. But as somebody who's had a fair amount of scars in this rivalry, I remember feeling the same way in 2020 when, Michigan opens, they go to Minnesota, blow their doors off. Michigan State turns the ball over 6 times against Rutgers. People are talking about Joe Milton being a Heisman candidate and Ricky White still haunts my dreams. So it's like, I'm not going to look past anything, but yeah, it's a bizarre rivalry week for sure.
I just can't tell if Michigan's coming at the absolute worst time or maybe at the absolute best time because it's been tough sledding for Michigan State. Some late games that they should have won, but they let slip through their fingers. So, hey, you know what? You get your top rival in. Maybe that'll iron forge some focus. Or, oh, God, maybe you just lost every last ounce of your focus in Piscataway, and now here comes Big Bag Michigan. I don't know, but we'll figure it out. Chris, let's just talk about the team here because, quite frankly, I'm going to out myself right now. I haven't watched more than 3 plays of Michigan so far this year, and that's for a myriad of reasons. One being, hey, you guys have played a 6-week preseason. There isn't a game that I feel like I should turn on. And also, let's not kid ourselves here. The last thing I have to see on a Saturday after watching my Michigan State Spartans blow a game is to watch the Wolverines absolutely pile it on and look like the best team in the nation. Like, I also miss these games for my own mental health, Chris. So a lot of reasons why I haven't watched a lot of Michigan football this year. How's it going though over there? Like, I mean, obviously you guys have to be pleased though, right? I mean, is there anything missing so far this year?
There's one thing, and I can almost even kind of turn that negative into a positive, which is I thought last year when Corum was at full health, but even when he wasn't, the offensive line and the running game was just so dominant. I mean, the Penn State game right around this time last year is a prime example where like they went for 400 yards with those two backs combined. I mean, they just could not be stopped. I said in my post-game video after Indiana, I am legitimately disappointed, such a strong word for a team this good, but I am surprised that the offensive line isn't as good as it was last year. And in turn, I'm surprised that Corum and Edwards haven't been as dominant as they were. Now, Corum, I think there's an explanation. It's why there's such a short shelf life for running backs. I love Blake Corum. I still think he's one of the best backs in the country. I do think he's lost a step with that torn meniscus. Like I think it's one of those things that like, I don't know if you get that back, and that sucks for him because I love the guy so much. Edwards has been a weapon out of the backfield. As a receiver, he just scored his first touchdown rushing the ball. But I think the biggest difference, honestly, is finally, after 28 years on this earth, this quarterback, you have a quarterback that's a legit playmaker. Like, actually, like, because when you think about it, man, I'm not talking about Denard Robinson returning punts. Michigan has not put a quarterback in the – Michigan hasn't talked about a quarterback – has not put a quarterback in the NFL since Chad Henne. And Chad Henne, God bless him, was mainly a lifetime backup, right? And this is the first time in which plays are added to the playbook and plays are extended because of what JJ McCarthy can do outside of the pocket. He's incredibly mobile. He's been accurate as hell. Like I said, coming into the year, because we do this every year. Like I know Michigan football as well as you do with the preseason Heisman hype. And what I said was, he's not going to win the Heisman because sometimes circumstances just don't allow that. Like if you're blowing a team out halfway through the third quarter, I remember the famous one from several years back was like Tua versus Kyler Murray, where Tua's efficiency numbers were insane, but Alabama was bum rushing teams. He's getting pulled halfway through the third quarter, and Kyler Murray ended up winning the Heisman. I think JJ is legitimately one of the best quarterbacks in the country. I think his efficiency numbers prove that. He's had one bad game. It was a weird game. It was the last game without Harbaugh as the coach. Besides that, he's been completing passes at a 70% clip. He gets out of the pocket. His pocket awareness is as good as anybody. I think that even though I might not be blown away by the offensive line play, I think what they've added with him, I mean, he's on the verge of like really breaking a lot of records here. I mean, and the receiving core as well. Right now we are 7 games in. I believe Roman Wilson has 9 receiving touchdowns. The last time a Michigan player had more than 9 was 2007. So it's like, this is an offense that's finally, that was Mario Manningham, dude. So we're going, Manningham, he played out an entire career and retired in that period. Right. Like we are actually talking about an offense that has opened things up in a way that I think has made fans really happy. Their bread and butter is still the line of scrimmage. It is still the run game. But the one thing that has excited me the most is the fact that I think you have a quarterback that is so much more than just a game manager.
I'm loving this conversation, but I absolutely hate what I'm hearing so far. This is just whatever. I'm sure it'll go great on Saturday. We're of course going to talk a lot more. I want to talk about who you think the better Heisman candidate is between JJ McCarthy and Blake Corum, and then get a little bit into the defense here, and then hey, some trivia at the end of the show. But Chris, I hate to do this to a guest, especially as nice and great as you are, but I got to send you to the bench because I need to talk the people's ears off about Jase Medical. You heard me talk about it at the top of the show here, talking about the Jase case. Now, what on earth is this Jase case? Well, the Jase case provides you with 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use. And all it takes to get a Jase case is fill out a simple online form. And in some cases, just jump on a quick call with one of our board-certified physicians to get this doctor-created, doctor-recommended product. When you get the Jase case, it is perfect for emergencies. Just stash one in your house, in your RV, on your boat, or hey, if you're traveling out there, throw it in your luggage because you don't want to be caught in the middle of nowhere, international waters, thinking, oh my God, where is there a doctor around here that I could talk with? No, just you got the Jase case on you. It's all good in the hood, baby. So when you go to jasemedical.com, get $20 off of these life-saving antibiotics today by using code LOCKEDON at checkout. That is all one word, locked on at checkout at jasemedical.com. That is JASE medical.com. Again, $20 off. Code LOCKEDON at checkout at jasemedical.com. Also, if you want to get in on the gambling action like I will, because that might be the only reason that I will watch this game on Saturday, I'm only half joking about that. Do it with FanDuel Sportsbook. That is right. Michigan State sits at 23.5-point underdogs. If you are feeling spicy about our Spartans, hey, go put your money where the action is over at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Or hey, let's say Saturday isn't your thing coming up. Well, it's great to get in on all the NFL action with FanDuel right now as well, because right now new customers can get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That is a $200 amount in bonus bets, win or lose, with just a $5 bet. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action right now. They have everything from spreads, player props, over-unders, and so much more. So what are you waiting for, gang? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. Again, that's FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. And let's get Chris Castellani back on to the show here. And before the season, look, as a Spartan fan, I'm looking down the road. I'm saying, like, okay, all my dreams and nightmares are closer than I could think. Michigan looks really, really good this year. We could see them win a national championship this season. And on top of that, well, two good Heisman candidates in JJ McCarthy and Blake Corum. However, I did talk myself into it that, like, hey, well, they could also just be eating into each other's stats here and really kind of harming each other on their road to New York. But again, that's just me just talking myself out of misery. Between the two, though, as you are 7 games in the season, I believe you said, which one is the stronger Heisman candidate? And do you see one of them, both of them, or neither of them actually getting the invite to New York at the end of the year?
Okay, right now, and I'm surprised by this, it is JJ. And because I think the point you made is very true, where I think with Donovan Edwards being a part of the backfield, with JJ's mobility, he can run the ball, with the passing game opening up. Like, I think that those votes kind of even out to a certain extent. Brandon Walker had a really good take about this, and I think he's correct in that nowadays the Heisman, I think, is more of a team award than it's been. I think Stetson Bennett being a finalist last year was a prime example of that. I don't know of any person who said Stetson Bennett individually is the most impressive quarterback in college football, but he was the leader of the best team in the country, and in turn ended up becoming a Heisman finalist. I think, much like last year, JJ will have multiple opportunities to put himself at the forefront of that discussion, at least kind of in the top 5. Well, whether it's the Penn State game, the Ohio State game. Now, last year, he played great against OSU. Now, they ended up dominating the line of scrimmage in the second half. Donovan Edwards kind of went off there. So I think that if they play against Penn State and Ohio State, and he has a great game, 300-yard, 3-touchdown game, maybe runs for another, I think I could see him making it to New York. I don't think he'll have the cumulative totals to win it. But, the other thing too, like, the Heisman Trophy voting is so bizarre because, guys will place their votes for players they didn't watch, right? Because so really the one advantage that Michigan has is that late in the season, they're going to play multiple games on national TV against big time opponents. So those voters that, let's say there's a voter out in California who's been watching Caleb Williams on the Pac-12. Okay, I'm going to watch Michigan because it's a national TV game. That all of a sudden he goes on their radar. So I think if he continues to play well and put up the efficiency numbers that he has, I think there's a chance he makes it to New York. I would be very surprised if he wins it. Similarly, I know it's a much different position to Hutchinson 2 years ago, where I think Hutch was kind of hovering in that top 10. That Ohio State game, he was already on the map, but that kind of propelled him, ended up finishing second. I think we could see something similar with JJ.
And let's flip sides of the field here, because unfortunately, it's not just the offense that's doing good things over there in Ann Arbor. God, I hate this, man. This sucks. Anyway,
hey, you still got to play the game. You still got to play the game.
Sure, whatever.
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah.
I wish we didn't have to play the game, quite frankly, but I'll edit that part out. I don't want anyone to hear me saying that. That's very negative of me to say, but yeah, whatever. Why is the defense good? Why do they have to be so good?
Honestly, it's a very simple answer to it. It's so bizarre, man, because I was working for Mason Brew during the COVID year, okay? And there's this revisionist history now, but I'm sorry. I know the COVID year was fugazi. Things were falling apart. This was a program that was in shambles. And for the first time maybe ever, Jim Harbaugh actually kind of put his ego aside and was like, we need to do a complete revamp of our play calling on both sides of the ball. Now, they stuck true to their identity as a running team offensively, but you bring in Mike McDonald from the NFL who drew up the playbook of how to contain Ohio State. And then you bring in Jesse Minter, who runs the exact same scheme. Now, the number one reason why they're so good, they have really good players. I mean, Sandra still and Barrett and Will John. I mean, these guys are going to be playing on Sundays real soon.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Mike Sandra still's been here since like 2006. Like I say, and he started out as a receiver. Yeah, and that's the other weird thing. There's multiple guys who could have gone pro last year, like him and Barrett, and came back. So I mean, that's step one. But I think ultimately one big thing that I think is the number one sign of a great football team. And this is something that in the Michigan State game in 2020 was a prime example of this, that they have not always been. They are insanely disciplined. I believe that Michigan had one penalty last week, and it was a lame unsportsmanlike conduct on a touchdown, so the touchdown still counted.
Okay.
Before that, I believe against Nebraska, they had 0 penalties. Against Minnesota, they had, I think, 1, and it was a kick out of bounds. In previous years, this is not a team that's getting called for pass interferences. It's not a team that's getting called for late hits. I don't know if there's an individual star the way that there was Aiden Hutchinson a few years back, but they're sound in every single area. And I think another great sign of coaching is how do you adjust at halftime? This team's point differential in the third quarter of games over the last 2 years is hilarious. I mean, they're essentially like the 2007 Patriots in the second half against games. I mean, it's crazy what they've done. And yeah, I mean, if there's one downside, I know you're a Lions fan. I think we feel the same way about Ben Johnson. But Jesse Minter's going to be a head coach next year. That's the only. But honestly, though, like that to me, that's life in the league. Like you hire good coordinators, you're going to lose good coordinators. The fact that he stayed a second year is kind of amazing to me. It's maybe one of the things I'm grateful for about the TCU game last year is they kind of got exposed. Like I better run it back.
Sure.
But he's done a marvelous job, and the players have bought in. I think truly, because I had kind of given up on it. I really think, I hate to put it all on one guy. I think the holding on to Don Brown's scheme for as long as they did was nearly what derailed the Harbaugh era, and bringing in great D coordinators was eventually what ended up kind of leading to this ascension in the Harbaugh era.
Interesting. And just to give try your best here to give a glimmer of hope to Michigan State fans, where is the hole? If anything even gets you somewhat barely nervous for Saturday.
Well, yeah.
What is it?
There are things. I think Michigan, the defense, I would argue, has essentially been flawless. The one thing that they've had at points against Rutgers, they had a few against Indiana, big plays. I think especially in rivalry games, there's going to be a trick play in there somewhere. There's going to be, some sort of defensive breakdown. If you can hit a guy on a deep ball for a 50-yard touchdown, get out to some early momentum, early lead, that especially at home, that could be something. I do think, as much as I love JJ, and it's weird because JJ doesn't turn the ball over a ton, but he is erratic. It's strange. Like he's had a lot of instances where he's taken sacks where he probably could have easily fumbled, or he's fumbled and recovered his own fumble. He took 4 sacks last week against Indiana. I think if you can get this offense behind the sticks, while they're more equipped to play that kind of football than they have in years past, it's still not the way that Michigan football is kind of built. And the other thing too is and I know it's ironic I'm bringing him up because he was the GOAT of the game yesterday against Cleveland, but over the last 2 years, you got bailed out so many times by your kicker. I mean, Jake Moody was automatic. You look at last year's game, dude. Last year's game, Michigan had 1 touchdown well into the fourth quarter of that game, but you had Moody going 5 for 5 in field goals. Michigan ended up scoring their second touchdown on that botched snap on the punt. I mean, I think that in this year's kicking situation, well, I'm not saying that the new guy's been bad. He ain't Moody. I mean, Jake Moody was one of the great college kickers ever. So you no longer have that luxury of being okay, well, we can stall out in the red zone and guarantee ourselves points. I think that if you can sustain Michigan in the red zone and hold them to threes and then pop off a big play or two, that to me is kind of the anatomy of an upset. And of course, the other things is just basic, win the turnover battle. Of course, you want to look at that. But I would say those two things to kind of hone in on: win games on special, win the special teams game, and hope to hit a few big plays, maybe a breakdown in coverage or two, and get the crowd in the game, get the momentum going. Maybe there's a shot.
I'm just thrilled to not see Jake Moody in a Michigan uniform anymore. When he was drafted, I think, what was it, the 3rd round he was drafted in last year? Yeah, no, and it's funny because he missed 2 field goals yesterday, but he was 9 for his first 9. He was people laugh at me when I say this. He's on my Mount Rushmore of favorite Michigan athletes ever, because he never let me down. I can't think of a single instance in which I was oh God, Moody screwed us. So I can think of instances in which Trey Burke played a bad game.
I can't think of many bad Moody moments. He's up there for sure. I love the guy. Yeah, no, 3rd round for a kicker. You're doing something good, man. That's insane.
Right. I get it sounds crazy, but like when I'm seeing people like say like, oh, what are the Niners doing? And it's like, oh, I can tell you've never watched college football before because this guy is 3 points once you cross the 50-yard line. Like that is actually a great pick by San Fran. It obviously, let's forget last Sunday happened, but whatever.
Yeah.
He'll be stands.
Yeah,
he'll be fine.
Yeah.
Chris, we're going to try to have some fun here. I want to put a smile on Michigan State's face over here, and also Michigan too, because these questions for our half dozen trivia at the end of this break here is going to be about the rivalry here. But first I need to send you to the bench. Sorry about that. And I also need to talk to people's ears off about eBay Motors, passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and way more. Whether you're into speed, power, or just style, eBay Motors has got you covered with over 122 million parts. I'm going to say that again, over 122 million parts to choose from for your number one ride or die. You will always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every single time or your hard-earned money back. Because with eBay Motors, you are burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply, and eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Also, if you want to look the best the rest of this football season, or hey, for some basketball season too, homefieldapparel.com is the place to be. Whether you're a State fan, a Michigan fan, a Colorado School of the Mines fan, Hawaii fan, they have so many schools with so many vintage logos. Your head will start spinning. And, well, you're also going to love how it feels on your body, because these t-shirts, sweatshirts, long sleeve t-shirts like the one I'm wearing right now, they are the most comfortable articles of clothing I have in my closet. I'm not kidding. This isn't like, just old ad read I'm doing. I'm just reading off from the script. No, buy some home field apparel clothing for yourself, because you deserve it, sweetheart. That's right. Homefieldapparel.com. Smash in promo code LOS23 for 15% off of your first order. Again, that's homefieldapparel.com. Promo code LOS23 for 15% off of your first order. Homefieldapparel.com. Now let's get Chris Castellani back into the mix here. And you might know his lovely, handsome face on The Dozen Trivia, a fantastic show that Barstool runs, a staple in my house. We were talking about it before we started recording. Almost every night we're watching The Dozen here. So, Chris, we got the half dozen for you. It's not going to be 12 rounds of trivia. It's just going to be 6 rounds of trivia, and you're not going to be playing against anyone. You're just answering questions here. But these are going to be both about Michigan State and Michigan. This isn't all slanted to just Michigan State's side, as much as us State fans would appreciate it. But, yeah. Are you ready to play half dozen trivia? Because if you say no, I don't know what we're gonna do other than that.
No, I was just I love the name half dozen, so Jeff D. Lowe doesn't send out a cease and desist.
Yeah. I don't want to hear from his lawyers. Yeah, no.
He's a powerful man. He's a powerful man.
I know. I got enough stress this week. I don't need the low lawyers to be barking up this tree over here. So
for sure, man. Let's roll.
First category is receivers. The first category is receivers. 3 Wolverine receivers have had 100-plus yard games in this rivalry since 2015. Andrell Anthony in 2021, Ronnie Bell in 2018, and this receiver in 2016.
Amara Darboh, I think.
Heavens to Betsy. Okay, that was not that challenging, apparently. Yes, he had 165 yards in that game, but 0 touchdowns. So suck it. That's right. Got them out of the end zone. That's it. Yeah. All right, so you're a smooth 1-for-1 here. Chris, question number 2 of receivers. This Spartan has the most MSU receiving touchdowns in this rivalry since 2015 with 2 touchdown grabs.
Okay.
And it can be combined over games, like if they had like one catch in 18, one catch in, so it can be combined. Just want to clear that up for the folks.
Okay. Shit, I think I know who it is, and okay, shit. Because it was, I want to say the work years. Because Peyton Thorne didn't throw one in 21. I think, you didn't have one last year, or you had one, but it was only one. I don't believe Ricky White had 2 in that game. So, Felton Davis?
It was the Ricky White game, but it was Connor Hayward with 2
that's
touchdown
right.
grabs
Okay.
in that
Yeah,
game. Yeah.
okay.
That even surprised me. I forgot about his first one completely. Like I remember the screen pass
Me
at the
too,
end of the
yeah.
game. But yeah, so he had 2. The next category, Chris, is coaches.
Okay.
Coaches. Question number 1. Since Mark D'Antonio took over in 2007, this coach has the worst winning percentage in the rivalry amongst both schools. This coach has the worst winning percentage in this rivalry since 2007.
I mean, Rich Rod never won. So he was a crisp 0-3. I remember there was a time, I think it was in his last year. It was about halfway through Rich Rod's last year, in which Mark D'Antonio had won the same number of Big Ten games at the Big House as Rich Rod did. So that was
it
was like
I
think the next week I think they won that 3 overtime game against Illinois, and that got him above D'Antonio. But that one, good times. I was a freshman in high school when that. Yeah, so he was over 3.
All right. I expected you to get that question. I just didn't know if that'd be a foggy question for anyone that forgot truly how bad the Rich Rod years were at Michigan.
I don't forget. I don't forget.
No, understandably so. Question number 2 under coaches. Mel Tucker became the first coach to win the Paul Bunyan Trophy in his first game since this Wolverine coach in 1948. This would be an insane question for a Michigan fan to get. And if an MSU fan gets this correct, oh my God, you're just a Wikipedia page. This is a very tough one.
Wait. So it was a Michigan coach you said in 1948?
It was a Michigan coach in 1948 that won their first debut game. Yep. Yeah. It's a name I've never heard until I looked this up. So
really? Okay, then it's not.
To give a reference of how hard this is. Yeah, this ain't a Schembechler here.
No, it's I'm a little bit fuzzy football between the years of 1908 and 1969. After that, I'm okay.
Understandable.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Munn. Then it would be the only one I could think of. I don't know. Is he even a football coach?
Benny. Sorry. My bad.
No, that's my only guess. Yeah.
Benny Oosterbaan. Oosterbaan. If anyone got that right, go ahead and collect all your winnings. There's no winnings. I'm sorry. Category number 3 here is penalties. Something that we may or may not have seen a lot of lately. Since 2010, what game saw the most penalty yards handed out in the Paul Bunyan game with 184 yards? This is a tough one. This could be a random just shot in the dark guess, but which game? I'm gonna run through this here. Okay. I have it down, and don't tell me. I think I might have it down to 2. Okay.
Now, one of them might just be skewed because a guy got ejected. But there was the 2015 game with Joe Bolden getting ejected. That one comes to mind. But the other one that comes to mind is 2011. That was a pretty sloppy game, I think. But I'm trying to think if Michigan State or Michigan, when they were really bad, had a game where they just could. Oh, wait a minute. No, it was 2020 because of the pass interferences, wasn't it?
2019, actually, 184 yards. The game you wouldn't expect, the blowout game. Michigan had 9 penalties, MSU had 7 penalties, but every game. Remember that. No, and every game has been healthy. Almost every game has had 130-ish penalty yards, but of all games, 2019, I don't remember that many flags on the field. But maybe that's just because I blocked that whole game out of my memory.
I'm 2020. I felt good about it because there was.
Yeah, you should.
After they hit Ricky White with those few deep balls, we got called for so many PIs. Yeah. So that one came to mind, but that's a good one. Yeah, good question.
I've got a hunch that you're going to get this next one right here. Question number 2. This stake planning Wolverine linebacker was ejected in the 2015 game for a targeting penalty on Connor Cook. Son of a gun.
No way.
Who could it be, Chris?
That was wow. How about that? Yeah, no, that was definitely holy shit. That was definitely Joe Bolden. That was the it's funny, man. The Brady Hoke era had so many dumb gimmicks. Calling Ohio State Ohio,
I love that. Yeah, that was good.
He didn't wear red. He didn't wear a headset. He didn't wear sleeves. And then immediately the year after, because that was, I think there was a conference realignment, so we had to play back-to-back years in Spartan Stadium.
Yes.
So a year after Devin Gardner nearly got decapitated, they thought it was a good idea to put a spike in the ground. Yeah. So wow. That's a great segment, man, because I had no idea that was going to be the question. Yeah.
Great work on your part right there. The 4th category is quarterbacks.
Okay.
Which quarterback has thrown the most touchdown passes in this rivalry since 2015? And this is including the 2015 game. Which quarterback has thrown the most touchdown passes since this rivalry since 2015?
Okay, the first one that comes to mind, I would venture to guess this is correct, is Shea Patterson, because he threw 2 against Michigan State in 19, and I think he threw Nico, and then he had 4, I think, in 18 he had 2, and then 19. So I think it's Shea.
You got it with extra credit because, yes, it is 6. The 2 in the 1 year, then 4 in the other year. God, great work. Jesus. It's like talking to an encyclopedia sometimes, man. All right, and question number 2 under quarterbacks. Who was under center for Mark D'Antonio's first victory over Michigan as a head coach?
That was I'll give you a little backstory here. So that was
there we go.
It was my brother's
now we're bat flipping.
It was my brother's junior year of high school. I believe he had the state meeting for cross country. So I was at my grandparents' house, and it was an elite quarterback matchup between Stephen Threet and future NFL backup Brian Hoyer, who I believe threw for 3 touchdowns that game. Javon Ringer went nuts. That was far and away the worst Michigan football team of all time. Was the 3-9 Rich Rod team. So that would be Brian Hoyer in his final year. Threw three tutties against Michigan.
It's Brian Hoyer, and sure enough, I have in parentheses, hey, mentioned that he threw 3 touchdown passes, but Chris already just did that. So look at him go. God, this is
look when I'm on, I'm on.
It's a freight train rolling downhill, man. It is unbelievable here. Now, category number 5 here, running backs. Mm-hmm. Which running back has rushed for the most touchdowns in this rivalry since 2015, also including the 2015 game?
Okay. This might be a trick question because I think it might be K9 for the 5 that he had in that one game. Is it Walker? Yeah,
it is. I had to throw ourselves a bone there on that one, just remembering the good times. But you know what? 5.
You know what's so crazy about that though? The further away we get from that game, like the less it hurts. I mean, partially because we're really good, but Kenneth Walker, it sustained it. Like he's a stud in the league. He stud at Michigan State. It wasn't like Ricky White bothers me because I don't know where he is. I think I think we even played him this year. I think he is actually at UNLV,
right.
but he's not a contributor.
Right.
Like Kenneth Walker, we're going to look back 10 years and be like, future NFL star Kenneth Walker got to Michigan. That one doesn't kill me. But so it was K9 in that game.
Understandable. And so for running backs number 2, finishing the game with 10 carries in this 2012 meeting, this Wolverine was the first starting running back to get a Paul Bunyan victory since Mike Hart's little brother comments.
Okay,
so that was Michigan running back in
2012. He only had 10
carries.
I think it's Fitz Toussaint.
You think it's Fitz Toussaint? Because it is Fitz Toussaint. And if anyone listening is doing as good as you are right now, then just comment below on YouTube or email me, lockonspartans@gmail.com, so I can give you a virtual pat on the back, because we're going to go into a tough category here. This is called Before Our Time, Chris, before our time. In 1990, this Michigan quarterback threw an incomplete pass to Desmond Howard as number 1 Michigan attempted to stave off a Spartan upset with a 2-point conversion try.
I believe it was the man who at one point, and I could be wrong about this, until Flacco broke it, I think, held the Ravens record for most career touchdown passes. That would be one Elvis Gerbach, I believe.
That would be one Elvis Gerbach, and that is another one in the win column for you, Chris. And let's take her home here. Let's take her home. Last question of the half dozen. This legendary MSU coach beat Bo Schembechler in Bo's first Paul Bunyan game. Which Michigan State coach was it? Yeah, I know.
Okay. I feel like I'm playing with house money. I don't think he's going back that far, but I'm just going to say Perlis.
Duffy Daugherty and I always screw up his name. Daugherty. I don't know why I can't enunciate that last name, but Duffy Daugherty was the coach there for Michigan State Spartans. I should have tallied this as you were going along, but I'm apparently not a great host. But you got an A in my book, at least. I mean, you absolutely smashed it. But man, great work, and obviously great chat as always, man. I absolutely love talking with you. Anything you want to plug here before we let you go enjoy the rest of your day and prep for your next dozen tournament?
Postseason baseball is in full swing. Follow Barstool Baseball. Me, Carl, Clemmer, Hubs. We've been collaborating. We've been working really hard on that all year. And obviously I've been blogging a ton. Keep following those. Dozen will be, I think we'll be airing an episode next week. We'll be filming tomorrow. We're trying to get into the play-in tournament. You can do the fan vote for that as well. And just I mean, whatever content I'm churning out, just make sure I appreciate you guys seeing it. The nice stuff feels a lot better than the mean stuff. So I obviously appreciate it, man. Thank you.
No, I absolutely love you, Chris, and love all you guys watching, listening. We will be back tomorrow. We keep doing this 5 days a week here, Locked on Spartans. Until then, enjoy the rest of your week. Love you all. Go Green.